So now we talked about the three different kinds of banks. You have a commercial bank, savings and loan, and your credit unions. You also have this whole pool of other types of financial service institutions we call non-banks. So how do you go about using it? One of the big safeguards that was put into place to keep banks from failing was insurance companies. One is the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. That is for banks, for bank deposits. If it's a commercial bank, it's a federal bank, which almost all of them are. They have a bank you can deposit up to $250,000. And if you have up to that amount of money and the bank fails, you will get a check back for all of your money guaranteed by the federal government. You also have something similar for the savings and loan banks, your S&Ls, thrifts. That group, we have the Savings Association Insurance Fund. And by the way, it's the same amount as you have the $250,000. So that's insured as well. You also have the same provision for credit unions of $250,000. If you go to these three institutions, you put a maximum of $250,000 in there. And if something goes wrong inside the administration of that organization, then you're guaranteed to get money back eventually from the federal government to whatever amount you had deposited up to $250,000. One thing that really changed everything was we had a bank fail here in California, and really the federal government weighed in and went well above the $250,000, and frankly, they set this precedent that who knows how big that's going to become over the years because people were just being sloppy in investment, and so was the bank. It should not have happened, but it did, and so we'll have to put up with that and see what the consequences fallout will be. But you're guaranteed to have insurance up to $250,000. We do a huge amount of electronic funds transfer. And banks do it all the time. If you have crypto, almost all of your crypto accounts sit down there and transfer money at a drop of a dime back and forth. So the EFT is huge. And your debit card really functions the same thing as checks. It really is a demand deposit in its own right. So you just toss your debit card in there and it just transfers money out of your checking account. You also have a combination of a credit card, debit card, phone card, driver's license card. We call it a smart card. I think it's smart to get a smart card, but that's not how smart it really is. It's got a chip in it. We call it RFID chip, radio frequency identification chip. And it's a little chip there, and it really does a lot of different things because it really is programmed and hooked up to your different aspects of it. I've seen already one guy, he had a chip in the tip of his finger. So he would go to the grocery store and just scan his finger instead of having a charge card. It worked pretty good, provided that nobody chopped off his finger. But when he gave you the finger, it meant something totally different than we normally think, because that's where all his money was in the process, and it was a different finger. So that being said, that was very interesting. We'll see a lot more of this in different variations. Once upon a time, the RFID chip, just a few years ago, they're so valuable, you put one on a pallet of goods. Now, a lot of goods have it, but almost every single credit card has an RFID chip. It really does help different aspects of it. It's to the point where thieves now stand in line and they'll have a scanner and try to electronically scan what you have inside your purse or your wallet in the process. So make certain you have something out there. They have wallets now that are metal lined to keep people from stealing your information off of your smart card. So be cautious on that. So the chip is a big deal. You'll see a lot of different uses for it. Online banking is huge. It's enormous. Almost everybody has some methodology of doing it. The only problem is if you give somebody access to your funds, and then there's one particular vendor out there who's a lot of people have access to funds, and it's been huge in the process. You've had, and Venmo got hacked 3 different times. You have the world, all the thieves in the world are focusing on online banking. So be careful about responding to things. Be careful about phishing. Be careful about where you keep your bank account numbers, because everything is out there. Online banking is, by the time we're all done, we're looking at digital theft, cybersecurity issues will dominate our world starting in 2025, because more money will be stolen by cyber criminals in 2025 and beyond than all the drug problems on planet Earth. So we'll see that. If you're in business, a couple things. When you're making transactions, you may want to get a letter of credit. And usually a bank is not going to issue you a letter of credit or banker's acceptance unless you've been in business for 3 years or more. It's a promise by the bank to pay the seller for a certain amount if certain conditions are met. So the bank will pay you, by the time it's all done, the bank will pay something, a certain amount, if you have the following things. We call that a line of credit. A banker's acceptance, the bank will pay some specified amount at a particular time. You see these used a lot, this type of different pre-loan aspect of it, for really the big buildup of inventory, because the 40% of all retail sales take place in the months of October, November, December. To do that, you have to make sure you have all your inventory lined up. You'll see these happen in about March. Those are looking for these to help you build up your credit to order those massive amount of goods that you're going to sell in those 3 months. So lenders, international banking, a lot of money markets form a global market system. We have that out over there. You'll see cryptocurrency playing a bigger and bigger role in international banking out there as well. The World Bank. The World Bank lends most of its money to less developed nations. They have a couple of spectacular things. I hate to give praise to any kind of a global initiative, but the World Bank does a good job on what we call microloans. On the microloans, they may loan somebody $400 to start a business. And by American standards, that's almost nothing. But if you have a country that's third world, $400 can be enough to fund the start of a business where somebody could go into business and support themselves and their family and have a livable existence for the first time in their entire lives. They have a lot of really good programs. The International Monetary Fund is trying to get people to sit down and talk to each other by stabilizing exchange rates from one currency to the other. There are people out there, you see them, if you go to any kind of large airport, you'll see money traders right there in the airport where they're swapping money back and forth, trying to sit there. Oh, you're going to go over here. Well, if you buy this over here, the rate now is this. Well, they're there to make money. So they're making money off that little differences on the difference in the rate industries between countries. So that's an interesting way to sit down there and exchange money. My preference is to always line up my credit card ahead of time. So I'm using the banking system, make certain you know that all three institutions, your commercial banks, your S&Ls, your credit unions, they all have some type of insurance. You have a World Bank that provides loans out there. Know about the aspect of electronic fund transfer. Know about a debit card. A debit card is different from a credit card. A credit card is something you have to pay. A debit card takes money straight out of your banking account. And know about the International Monetary Fund as well. The banking system is there. Make certain you use it smartly. Make certain you pay attention to your balances. Above all things, make certain on your credit that you don't go past your 30 days. You pay the whole balance off. I promise you, your life will be far better and using the banking system that way. Take care.